an unusual situation. The host has not arrived. So I am the emergency command host. But the good news is the talent has arrived as well. So it is my distinct pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, to introduce you to two of my beloved co-workers, Ethan Phillips Take your hat off. Now, honestly, can you tell us apart? Doesn't he look like he just left me in the dryer for 10 extra minutes? And Jeri Ryan. And you can imagine how miserable we are. Do you want to sit in the middle, doll?
All right.
Why did it set up so we're segregated like this? Who did this?
Move a table? Let's rearrange.
Yeah, let's we're going to redo the furniture. Okay. Be careful, don't trip the bonus. All right, there we go. Okay, Jeri, you get to sit in the middle.
Redecorate it,
Sit in the middle so we can each put a hand on one knee.
Knee.
So, I know you're excited to see how young we really look in person. Can I just ask you a question?
Yeah. Nobody can hear us.
What kind of underwear are you wearing? That's going to be the only time I ask. Okay. All right, and we're going to shape up. Are there young children here? Please raise your hands if you're young. If you're under 16.
Keep it clean. Keep it clean, family.
We're going to keep. Are there people here under 16? Because I'm going to be very well behaved.
Well, but
unless you all want to leave, the under 16.
We have potty mouth.
No, we don't. We don't have potty mouth. Mr. Phillips, will you just shut up, please? We're going to entertain each other. Not necessarily you, because we don't get to see each other that often, so we're very happy to be in the presence of each other. But we're going to answer your questions, if you have questions, as long as they're clean. Ish. Do we have?
It's the 20th anniversary here.
20th anniversary.
So.
It's the 20th anniversary of our show.
Technically, 17th anniversary for me, because I, kind of cheated, but.
You were 11 years old when we started, right?
Well, almost. I was turning 11, yeah.
11? And I was only 16. How old were you, Mr.
You were 4 and a half, I think.
I was 3.
Wasn't Kess your girlfriend only 2 years old on the show?
She was 2 years old. She had the body of a 1-year-old, though.
We said clean-ish. That's a terrible, terrible thing to say. I'm sure it'll get worse.
Oh, you're going to hell.
I love...
I've been there.
I also thought that Kess had a very silly wig in the first season of the show. Do you remember Kess's wig? That sort of curly thing? Didn't it look like the little cozy you put on the extra roll of toilet paper? I thought so too. I thought that was unfair. Okay, I'm done. Let me get my glasses here, because I can't see anything, so I want my glasses.
So are you guys asking us questions? Oh, there is a microphone.
Oh, you have a microphone. We didn't see
we have
it.
it. It's a hand mic.
Oh, it's a hand mic.
We're a little slow, but we're starting.
By the way, I wore my outer space socks today. Look.
You're what? Wow! Very nice.
Mind if I do that? Thank you. It was a little experiment to see if I could get anybody to look at my legs.
I know.
I feel so sorry for you.
God. Yeah, you guys got the crappy seats. I'm sorry. We love you, though.
I think we look...
Slightly more than we love you guys, but not really. I'm only kidding. We love you guys, too.
If they had put the stage at that end of the room, though, you would have been way in the back. So it's probably better this way. Nobody has any questions. You're not a very inquisitive people, you Canadians, are you?
Yes,
There's only
this
two.
question is for Robert Picardo.
Yes, that's me.
Of course, I remember you from Home Improvement as the Meat Man. Stargate as
I was called, yeah, I was a porn star on Home Improvement.
I also remember you
No,
from
actually, no, that's
Stargate
right, I just
Atlantis.
sold meat, I forgot.
I also remember you from Stargate Atlantis and SG-1 as Mr. Woolsey. And of course, as the Doctor. Of the three characters, which one would you want to try and do again?
Well, I'm afraid it wouldn't be the Meat Man. Although Tim Allen is a huge Star Trek fan, and had I been on Star Trek at the time, he would have been a lot more excited to work with me, I think. Well, the Doctor was, because, you know, the Doctor was such a fun part, and because I started with such a clean slate, I got to travel the most, so it was the most interesting arc of the three characters. Stargate Atlantis was great because the producers were not as controlling as the Star Trek producers. Star Trek.
What do you mean?
Well, I don't know about you. Yeah, we were not allowed to ad-lib on Star Trek. If you had a spontaneous idea for Star Trek, that was fine as long as you phoned it in 5 days in advance. That was our idea of spontaneity. And then if they liked your idea, it suddenly appeared in the rewrite pages. So, not to take anything away from them, they know their show very well, but they kept a very firm grip on it. Whereas Stargate was very loosey-goosey.
Hi, my name is Andrew. One of my favorite episodes in Voyager was the episode where the Doctor and 7 of 9 switched bodies. I'm probably not the only one in this room that absolutely loved that episode. It certainly looked like you both had a tremendous amount of fun doing that.
So much fun, yeah.
Yeah, it looked just a lot of fun. And the chemistry between your characters was very evident. You both acted very well with each other. And instead of a question, I actually have a bit of a request, if possible, of the two of you.
Oh, I know where this is going.
I'm not sure if you do. Cleanish. Anyway, I was wondering if the two of you could sing You Are My Sunshine.
Do you remember the melody?
Vaguely.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
I'll do the melody once through, and the second time you do the melody.
All right.
Okay? You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy. Or you pick your song.
It's all right.
You are.
You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away.
One more time.
You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away.
How did you know it wasn't your key? I don't even know my
Well, I
key.
was coming along and I was like, oh bullshit, that's way too high.
Thank you. Have we ever done that before?
No.
We've never done that before.
I thought you were dumb.
I'm still in the hazy afterglow.
In the what club?
The hazy afterglow.
Oh,
Because it was so sweet.
I had to sing a song. Do you remember how to do a Vulcan funeral dirge?
Those are my
No, but I remember the producer came down and said you're going to have to join ASCAP, which is the Association of...
Could you wrote the song yourself?
I wrote the song.
Would you sing it
I
first?
have no idea what it was. It was
Well,
20
just make
years
something
ago.
up.
Blah, 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 blah. To this day, I still get residuals from ASCAP. I'm serious, like a penny a year.
Score!
Didn't we sing a song together in one of the episodes? We had to do a, what do you call it?
Was there any episode that you didn't sing?
Klingon. No, there was a... No, you're right. We had to sing a drinking song, you and I. Maybe that was Garrett.
No.
You guys all look alike.
Bob will sing it.
Hi, sorry. You would like to have a question. You're so patient.
It's entertaining, it's fun. So. It's great to see you guys here. I know you guys had a great run in Voyager, and after the show, I was just wondering if you guys had any fears of being typecast. And Jeri, I loved you in Boston Public. It was a great show.
Yeah.
So it's for all of you guys. Questions for all of you guys.
Yeah, sure. No, I have no fear about being typecast. I have a fear of being not cast. But you know, I mean, if
You also had a full face of rubber, so.
right, I mean, if the what's typecasting? You know, what's playing anything other than yourself anyway? If you're playing anything other than yourself, you're acting. So I think it's best to hope that you're just cast for who you are, because true chameleons are very rare. And so, I mean, if I'm playing a character, then I'm acting, and that's the last thing I want to be caught doing. So I use myself. So, but types are you know, expectations directors feel audiences have. So I would not be cast as a violent, evil person because audiences don't perceive me in that way. It would be a dangerous or rare choice for a director to cast me in that way. So I count on a handful the number of roles that I've played that are villains. Mostly I get a menschy, likable guy because that's how I am perceived. So that is typecasting to a certain extent. And the opportunities to you know, expand your range only come with the kind of roles you get, of which you have no choice over. So, and to feel fearful about that would be a complete waste of time of your emotions.
Yeah, but you played an incredible villain on Criminal Minds. And you were
I played bad guys, yeah, but they're usually, they're tempered by some kind of quality that makes them sympathetic. I've never played anybody outright malevolent in my entire career.
You know, Ethan, because we're being signed, I wonder if you wanted to tell your reindeer story.
Oh, well, I spent a lot of time in Maine. Has anybody been to Maine? Do you know there's a lot of moose in Maine? And deer. No, it's not going to work.
I'm sorry. Okay.
There was a signer, and I was talking about deer, and every time I said deer, she'd go like this. And every time I'd say moose, she'd... So I just kind of said, you know, I ran into a herd of deer, and I like deer. I love deer. I think deer are one of the nicest animals in the world. Moose, you know, so this went on, and pretty soon this woman was basically... And that's the reindeer story.
You retired? Oh, we got the relief signer. I can't believe you put the signer on the bench. Unbelievable. Exhausted by the reindeer story.
Hi. I'm just wondering, after your time on the series, what your thoughts about pockets are.
All of us, you mean, because none of us had pockets. Jeri?
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of room for much of anything else besides me and my costume. I couldn't even be mic'd, so I had to, there's something called looping, which is when you have, the sound is messed up in the scene or whatever, and you have to re-record your dialogue. And it happens, you know, fairly frequently, but more frequently on Star Trek because my outfit could not be wired at all for sound. So the only mic I could have was the boom mic, which you can't use in the big walk-and-talks. And there were a lot of walk-and-talks down the corridor on that show. So every syllable I ever uttered as 7 of 9 in a walk-and-talk had to be looped. So I got really, really good at looping.
I remember because we had pockets that someone had given me a phone number, and I ate it right before the take. Because I had a piece of paper, and there's no paper in the future. You ever notice that? It's paper-free in Star Trek. So I literally put the piece of paper in my mouth. Once I was stuck with a pencil right when they were about to roll, and I put the pencil up my sleeve, and I gestured, and the pencil flew out and hit Chakotay in the head. So hiding things. Also, once I bent over very quickly, and I tore my costume, which was so tight, from here to here, completely. And underneath we had this little kind of I hate to say the word, dicky thing that would snap under.
What's it called?
It's called a dicky, and frankly, it snapped under our dicky. I don't know how the other guys feel. I don't like anything tight that snaps under my jump. But the thing is, when that was torn open, that was all exposed. Thank God that was before you came on the show, Jeri, because I would have ruined you for another man, I'm sure.
You know, Jeri's costume, if you remember, was a derma regenerating suit, which was there. She was wearing to regenerate her skin, and
Very slow working, though.
very slow working. So finally, by the 5th season, I wanted to have an episode where we just saw the work. You know, just take that thing off and see how it did.
We had a lot of jokes like that, so Jeri was a very good sport.
Oh, I hear you two do an impersonation of me at conventions. Can I see that?
Oh my God, no.
Cover your shoulder, guys. I do.
Do you remember?
Can I see it?
Yeah, they're going to take pictures of us and put it all over the
They
internet.
are. But it's okay, 'cause I'm here, so it's
All right,
not
get
like
behind the chair, John. Right?
Because I'm asking for it.
Come here.
Where are you going?
I want to be away from you.
No, that's picture perfect. Oh God, don't whisper right. That's never nice.
Did that look like anything at all?
Well done. I like that.
I can't believe you. Am I blushing? You know, you can tell when I blush, you can see it on Google Earth. I think I'm blushing. All right.
Hi.
Hello, good morning.
We said semi-clean. We said that. There was a preface. Okay.
It's so nice that you came to the Fan Expo this year. The question I have is, I know you become really close after working together for so long. So I wanted to know if you guys ever pulled pranks on each other during set, you know, just kind of fun stories, I guess.
Constantly. It was constant prank-filled, joke-filled.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you're giggling. Oh. You boys, because you're
Tell a joke. Tell one.
What? There's so many of them. I can't even remember you know, you used to, if you had a scene with other actors, and you were kind of like had a monologue or something, and the other actors didn't have any lines, they would let them go back to the trailer sometimes and just do a camera with you. And I remember one in briefings with Neelix, I had a long monologue, and Garrett and Beltran were in the scene, and they did nothing. They just stood there, and they shot their stuff out. You know, they just covered them, and then you can go back to your trailer. We're going to be like an hour and a half on Ethan. And they went back to the trailer, and I said, no, I want them here for my monologue because I need them off camera to give me a sense of reality. It's a joke, you know. So sure enough, Garrett and Chakotay were told to come back to the set and to stand in their respective positions for Ethan so he could have the sense of reality. And they were so pissed off. And finally I let them go after 20 minutes, but I could not stop laughing about that. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I remember once I felt comfortable enough to joke around Jeri. I had a line where I said, Seven, your physiology is something of a mystery to me, was the line. And in rehearsal, I said, Seven, your body is something of a miracle to me. I remember that, and then she laughed nicely. I've also told the story at conventions, which is true. The first several weeks that I worked with Jeri on the show, I did not want to get caught staring at her. So the moment we would break, we were talking, and I would turn away from her. You don't remember this. We had a scene on the bridge, and I would turn my back on her so that she didn't turn around and catch me staring at her.
I figured you were rude.
No, I was. And then when I finally told her, I said I didn't want to get caught staring at her butt, the next day she came into the set and pinched me on the ass. And then we were friends after that.
I used to like to go up when Tim, who took Tuvok so seriously, he'd go up and he'd stand on his console, you know, and do all this, Captain, we've located a corned beef sandwich. Or whatever the stupid stuff he used to say. And if he had a long monologue, as soon as they'd say action, I would go around and sneak up through the back underneath his console. And he'd be talking and I'd whisper, it's just a TV show, you stupid idiot. You're not a Vulcan, you're an actor. And then they'd sneak out, completely throw him off.
One of the good practical joke days involving Tim was, I'm sure you've heard the story, where Tuvok had to appear, he had a dream where he appeared nude on the bridge. So whenever an actor has a scene where they're supposed to be naked, they come to the set with body makeup on and they're wearing a robe and they rehearse in the robe. And then they take the robe off for the shooting. And Tim, of course, had, you know, flesh-colored pants on or whatever, but he had gone to the wardrobe trailer and had borrowed a long black knee sock and had stuffed it. So Mr. Tuvok had enhanced himself for the shot. So when he took the robe off and turned, the reaction was on the rest of us looking, and he turned and exposed this Tuvok edition. And everyone laughed on camera, because it was a reaction shot on the rest of the cast. Everyone laughed except me. Because being his doctor, I figured I'd already seen it. And he was pretty impressive.
Pretty much the perpetual state that I was in anytime any of these boys were on the set.
A very puerile environment. I would continually moon. Anytime Kate worked on the set, I'd moon her. I'd just go right over. Captain, did you drop this pad? She'd just close it. Remember that? I just did it all the time.
Come on, raise us out of the gutter here. You have another? Oh, question over.
Hello. I just wanted to say I'm a huge fan of all of you. My question is for Jeri. What was your favorite 7 of 9 moment of the show?
Wow. My favorite 7 of 9 moment. That's, I couldn't, oh boy. I couldn't pick one. But
I think it was meeting me.
It was any scene, of course, with Helix. But, yes, I couldn't narrow it down to one of those because they were all so special. So, it's much easier if I make it broader because that's too hard to pick. But, no, among my favorites were always the ones where Seven was exploring her humanity. And so, yeah, there were some great moments. But one of them was not really my favorite because it was so damn sad, and I hated doing it. When the doctor kind of fell in love with her and he was going to give her the flowers and, you know, he had practiced it and then I walk in and I'm like, oh, there's nobody here for me here. And I broke his heart and it was so sad. And I remember being like, I don't want to say that. And I'm pretty sure we had to do it a few times because I'm pretty sure I kept not saying it and going, oh, but it's mean. So I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but it was hard.
That was very sweet. That was our My Fair Lady episode. I loved that show too. And I also, someone said earlier, the scene where Jeri had to impersonate me, where she was so hilarious. I actually heard the producers were upset that she was making herself so unattractive because she was acting exactly like me. You know how backhanded that is? So, you're doing too good a job of acting like Picardo because we can't look at you.
That was fun. I mean, if you got to impersonate somebody, It's a pretty good specific character to get to impersonate.
Yes, it's if you can make your eyes and your forehead do all that stuff. Yes, no questions on the, you guys don't care? Nobody questions over here? Oh, they don't have a microphone.
At last.
We're on the West Coast, screw it.
All right, the question is more to Robert and Ethan. What did you think of the premise of the show when you got the first script?
I think of the premise of the show. Well, to be honest with you, I was not very Star Trek knowledgeable. I've thrown myself at the feet of the faithful and told them this before, that I did not know much about Star Trek when I was cast. But I read the script and thought it was a really great story and stood up on its own, and it had that, you know, I mean, Gilligan's Island in space, it's great, right? You go away for a 3-hour tour and you're stuck for 75 years. It was a good hit. My thing, also I've told it before at convention, so I won't tell it now, but I wanted to play Neelix because I thought it was, first of all, a bigger part and a funnier part. And the Doctor had very few lines, and I didn't get the joke. I just thought, colorless, humorless, a computer program of a doctor did not sound like a bucket of fun. So I just learned I learned that I was wrong. That was the most delightful surprise.
I thought the premise was fantastic, being that I would come in as an actor and pretend to be an alien and they would pay me for it. I thought, that's a great premise. And the fact that it might go on even longer than I had anticipated made the premise better and better each year. But also the thing I was pleased with, and I realized this by the end of the second year, is that that I would not have to work all that much. The makeup was such that if you wore it too long, your skin began to bleed, basically, because of the removal process. And they just couldn't use me that much. When I had a big show that went 6 or 7 days, by the end of it, I was pretty raw, and you can't sleep in the makeup. So if you're there 18 hours, you're really pretty tired. I remember when the show ended, I was just friggin' exhausted. And so that was a nice thing to know. And but I thought the idea of, I didn't know much about Star Trek either. But I think that it was a great idea to go out and explore space. It gave opportunities for the writers and for the makeup people to do some amazing things, rather than the same old Romulans and Cardassians and all that stuff. And I think that appeal really, was one of the major reasons for its success. I just could have said exactly what I said in about 2 words, but I like to babble on every now and then because I really love to hear myself talk, and I'll tell you why. I think I have an amazing voice.
Can we have the next question from over here? Right over here, yes.
Different people. Just the other day, I was saying to what?
And please don't give it to Mr. Phillips if you can. Oh, you have no mic. You have a mic runner. He's running with the mic. He's approaching with the mic.
Actually, his name, Michael
The
Runner.
mic is now landing.
Hi, I'm Stella. I just have 2 quick questions for Robert and Jeri. Robert, your character on Star Trek was such a natural comedic character, and I wanted to know what your influences were in comedy to sort of create the Doctor. And Jeri, I just wanted to know sort of what were your greatest challenges playing such a strong lead character that was also hypersexualized on Star Trek and still coming across as such a strong female lead?
The biggest challenge with that character, to be perfectly honest, was keeping a straight face, because Seven didn't smile and didn't laugh. And I don't know if you've noticed, I laugh a lot. I giggle. I'm a really easy audience. He can attest. He can attest. Ethan loved me because he could tell the same joke 75 times, and the rest of the guys would be like, "Oh, Jesus, we've heard this one," and I'd be like, "Ah!" every time, like it was the first time I heard it. But so that was the toughest part of this character, is keeping her very stoic and unemotional. Or I guess she had emotions, but they were very suppressed, especially in the early seasons. And you said a hypersexual character. She wasn't. The appearance was, I suppose, hypersexual, but the character was the complete antithesis of that, which is why I loved it so much. And which is why I had no problem with what her appearance was, because I think it's important in our society, especially for young girls growing up, to see every representation of a woman, and especially smart, strong women. And they don't all have to be completely buttoned up and dowdy looking to be strong or smart or in control or in a position of power. You don't. There is every physical appearance of intelligent, strong women in life, and we should see that represented as well. And that's what I loved about that character, is that there was such a dichotomy between her appearance and the character itself. And I like that. It's a long way
My influences, I think I borrowed a lot from Dr. Smith from Lost in Space. Because he was always exasperated, and he was kind of puffed up and full of himself and arrogant. I mean, the idea of a computer program that is willful is a funny joke, a piece of technology that doesn't behave the way it's supposed to. A piece of technology that whose primitive emotional subroutines seem more concerned with his own feelings than with yours. So there were a lot of funny built-in things with the character, and what was great about the Doctor is that I could overact and then underplay in rapid succession. I could really be big and very facially expressive, but the character could also be quite believable and dramatic. And I think the other fun thing about it is that he did not have to obey according to the usual code of Starfleet officer behavior. I did not have to be stalwart, brave, and true. I could be a coward, I could be a windbag, I could have all these negative qualities and then eventually rise to my better self, which is why I think the audience found him funny, because he didn't behave like all the other guys that were officers. So I was really lucky to have that, to have that kind of latitude that you normally don't get in a Star Trek show. I just put you to sleep with that, huh?
Hi. It's been said before that your character and Jeri Ryan's character, like, they had 7 of 9, the Doctor, they had really good chemistry. And I was wondering if you two and other of the cast were ever rooting for them to be together in the long run of the story.
Any of the other cast? Probably not, but
I can't believe you
no,
picked
Garen was
Dakota.
lobbying for Kim and Seven to get together.
I know, and I can't believe I'm like, I'm teaching you for 4 years, and then you end up with Chakotay in the last episode. It was unfair, just because the guy has a tattoo. I could have had a tattoo hidden somewhere. No, it wasn't. I loved our social role-playing things, and that was actually an idea I pitched to Brannon, the producer, because he said, think of a way that you can relate to our new character, because I was losing Kess, who was the Doctor's sounding board. So I thought about it for a week and went back and said, wouldn't it be funny if I thought I was the best person to teach Seven how to be human again? It's so arrogant and self-important.
Your idea?
That was my idea, just so I could have scenes with you. And the truth is out now. I said we would do role-playing things and I would teach her appropriate behavior. And because of that one moment in his office, I got 4 years of wonderful scenes with her. So I'm very proud and happy I spoke up.
Very happy you spoke up too. Yeah, that was one of my absolute favorite relationships for this character.
Hi, my name's Mark. First, thanks so much for coming. Like, who needs a host, right? You guys are great. And my question's kind of for Robert as well about the character of the Doctor. It's an artificial intelligence, which is, and it's weird in that it doesn't try to kill all the humans, and B, doesn't really care about being a human, or it really just wants respect from them and stuff. And I was wondering how much you affected that, or if that's how they wrote it, or if you had any thoughts on that.
Well, they've plowed this territory before, obviously, with Data, so they know it very well. And my main concern was distinguishing myself from him because he'd been such a successful character, and of course he didn't have any emotions, and the idea was that I had primitive emotions that would work better and better as time went on. I loved dealing, in the same way Jeri said, she loved those entitlement stories. So what are you entitled to as an individual, but and by extension, by an artificial intelligence who is sentient and wants to be accorded the same respect as any other member of the crew. So those were always the most interesting stories to play. And what was wonderful about our show is since I carried those stories for the first 3 years, and then they kind of got handed off to Jeri's character, and I became sort of a consultant to her, because I had just been through...
The mentor.
I was the mentor, and I had been through the same stories myself. So what was wonderful about our show, and through the prism of our relationship, is that we were both going through similar things in a totally different way. She was reclaiming her humanity. I was trying to acquire mine, so to speak. But we got to, I could comment and cheerlead her from the sidelines on her own growth. So it was really, our relationship, I think, was unlike any other one in any of the other Star Treks.
And I think also you had a special position where I have a little more respect for you than I would have, say, Janeway or another one of the human members of the crew, because you were technological. So I respected your opinion a little more because of that.
And I have such a great butt, too.
That goes without saying, but that was more of a subtext. That was more personal choice, not so much characterized. Hi.
Howdy, name's Adam. Cleanest question you're probably gonna get is sand scrub, sonic shower, or the bathtub?
Who are you
asking?
Mainly Neelix, but all three characters, because you would have different reasons being different characters.
How did we keep clean?
No, which do you prefer? Like from the first episode when you arrive?
What does the character prefer? How do you prefer to bathe?
No, which type? Because you were loving that bath, but you're not always going to have that bath in space.
Yeah.
So what would you prefer?
I preferred having that bath in space, I guess. He came from an area that was very drought-ridden, so anytime he had access to water, it was, like gold for him. So I think anytime he could get near water, it didn't matter what it was, as long as it was liquid, urine, gin, all the same to him. As long as it was wet, Neelix was happy. I guess that's what you're asking. Obviously, he would not want the sonic shower. He would want the bathtub. There's a lot of things about Neelix they never told. Like he's trigenital. Very few people knew that. 7 knew, but those.
I think they cut that scene, but it's fine.
Those scenes were never cut.
Trigenital?
Trigenital.
That means he was willing to try if you were.
He would try anything. He had taste buds down his entire esophagus, so when he ate, he tasted the food all the way to his gut. All Talaxians had that. And when he lost his lungs, he didn't give a shit. Now, they looked like it was a big deal, my lungs. He didn't care. He was fine. He had gills. He had gills on his buttocks. Very few people knew that. So he could function anywhere. He was an alien.
This is Talaxian TMI.
Gills in his buttocks.
My question is for Jeri Ryan. You had a cameo in the Dilbert cartoon where you played a 7 of 9 alarm clock that said, "Get out of bed. Resistance is futile. Wake up and assimilate the day." I'd like to know how you got tapped to do that cameo, and I'd like you to say that line after you're done answering.
I don't know. I assume Dilbert must have been on UPN as well, which was the network that Voyager was on, so I'm sure that's how that came about. What am I saying? Wake up and assimilate the day. Resistance is futile. Oh, I got a bone to pick about the resistance is futile line. Side note, sorry. Has nothing to do with that. That was my one major complaint. There are 2. There are only 2 out of the entire 4-year arc of this character. There are only 2 times that I think they screwed up with 7. And number 1 was resistance is futile. And in my very first episode, because when I was cast, I didn't know anything, so I was just a
completely rambling long side note. Great. When I was cast, I didn't know anything about Star Trek, and they showed me First Contact, that I would know what the Borg were, and told me that we were making something completely different. She wasn't an automaton drone, and she wasn't as free as the Borg Queen, so we're making a new sort of hybrid. And the voice of the collective said, resistance is futile, right? So I get on set, and it's one of my first days of shooting, and I had the line, resistance is futile. And I said, so you want me to say resistance is futile, right? And they go, oh, no, that's just because Patrick had an English accent, it's futile. And I looked at it, and I was like, are you sure? Because I'm pretty sure in the movie, the Borg collective said futile. And they're like, no, it's just because Patrick, you say futile. Okay. So resistance is futile. I am the only freaking Borg in the history of the Borg hive mind that says futile. That makes no sense. But I'm unique, so there you go. The hive mind voice that's futile, and I said futile. Hi, sorry, side note.
Wait, are you speaking of before we came out today? Or do you mean when we were working on the show? Do you have a pre-show ritual?
My ritual was sitting in a chair for 4 hours.
Rubber glued to his face.
Oh God, I don't know. Mine was 2 or 3 cappuccinos, I think. That's why the doctor was a bit wired all the time. No pre-show ritual?
No pre-show
I think
ritual.
just you had to have someone help you into your costume for 35
It's
minutes.
usually really early in the damn morning, so most of it was like this, just trying to wake up.
One of the rituals we all shared, though, was driving to the set.
Really, he has a tenacious grasp of the obvious. You'll have to excuse him. All right, we're allowed to take one more question. I was told. I got the high sign. So one more.
Sorry, the rest of you in line.
Should we go to another side of the room or not? Or there is no other side of the room?
Come on, they got crappy seats. They're way over on the side.
Let them ask a
We're
question.
directly in the middle here.
He's little, he's being cute. Look, come on. Not that you're not adorable. You're
all
absolutely
adorable.
lovely.
What about this lady on the aisle? Right there with you. Yes, you see her? Can you give her a microphone? And then we have to go to our photo op, where you gather around the 3 of us and wish you were as cute as us.
There's a microphone slowly making its way over there.
Okay, I don't know if that's the one. Right, that's the farthest away question. What's it like over there in the Delta Quadrant? All right, ask your question, and the sound will get to us sometime tomorrow.
This is a question for all of you. Did either of you keep any souvenirs from the show?
Yes, I did.
Say no
Not
more.
the costume, that would have been a Borg alcove. I mean, that would have been a bonfire. But I have kept my alcove. It's in our game room. My Borg alcove. The whole damn thing. The lights, the whole thing. It's like, if I wore that suit for 4 years, the least you can do is give me the alcove. And they did. At the time, that's probably why I got that.
I kept 2 things. In the mess hall, there were these little plastic bowls. I kept one of them, and I kept my chef's hat.
I kept my communicator from the last day of work, because they took those away from us too. I got my communicator. I don't know where it is now. And I took some railing from engineering because I wanted to make a bar out of the railing. which I never did. Anyway, thank you guys. You're a wonderful audience.
Hey everyone, can we have everyone exit on